Good evening, I'm Alyssa Ivanson.
As you can see, 9:30 here in New Haven is open now, moving smoothly. Where I'm standing right now was flooded just a few hours ago.
Follow the blood trail at the scene, and it looks like the woman was running for her life.
Police, as you can see, still on the scene right now investigating an armed robbery.
That's when he then went inside the house and barricaded himself.
In the midst of all of this chaos, actually take a look at this. This bird's nest used to be in the rafters, but it landed just perfectly in the middle of all of this damage and destruction. Police say the suspect ran out the front doors and took off east. Canine units tracked him through the car wash parking lot. You can see the snow just accumulating on me, so it certainly is coming down at a pretty good clip. Those are questions that we are still asking for you tonight. Live in Fort Wayne, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15.
Has our top story. Alyssa?
Well, follow the blood trail at the scene, and it looks like the woman was running for her life. The violence this morning leaving neighbors uneasy.
On this hot first day of summer in the Ridgebrook Village Mobile Home Park, boys riding bikes, kids out playing, just feet from a mobile home turned crime scene.
To know that it happened right where you live is scary.
Wow, there's a bunch of cops out there. And I said, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Peggy Swartz lives across the lawn.
And then on the news it said it happened at 11:30. A stabbing. A woman was stabbed and she's in the hospital.
Evidence left behind indicates the woman was stabbed in the mobile home. Blood smeared on the glass storm door and drops trail along the sidewalk leading to the parking lot by the main office and mailboxes. That's where police found her with multiple stab wounds.
It is a little scary because, like, it's neighbors.
Nicole Abbott lives down the street. She first heard about the stabbing on Wayne.com.
I've lived here 2.5 years. Nothing like this ever happens. I mean, you hear people fight, but it never gets to that point where it's violent.
Another neighbor didn't want to show her identity, but knew the people living in the mobile home.
I couldn't believe it because they're good people and it just doesn't seem like something that would happen.
The woman went to a hospital in serious condition. Police think the suspect got in a car and drove off before they arrived, and they're still looking for him. But police also think the stabbing is a domestic situation, which is a little comfort for people on the block.
If someone's breaking in across the street or something, then that's gonna scare anyone.
I would definitely be a lot more afraid if it was a home invasion or a robbery gone bad or something. A little more comfort that it's maybe a fight between spouses or something. But still scary, still really scary.
Police have not released the suspect or victim's names yet.
We're taking you back out to a live look of the breaking news happening right now in Fort Wayne. This is the Pinnacle Credit Union off of Hobson Road. Police, as you can see, still on the scene right now investigating an armed robbery. Here's what police say has happened so far. Around 9:15 tonight is when the bank robbery happened, but it really all started much earlier in the evening when an employee arrived home at his or her apartment. A man armed with a handgun forced that person inside the apartment and bound them. They were waiting for a while at that apartment. The employee had a relative actually show up. That person was also bound, and at some point another suspect showed up at that apartment. Then they got into a car and came back here to the credit union here on Hobson and robbed the bank. The suspects left. The employee's vehicle that they used to get here to the bank left here. So police aren't sure right now how the suspects got away, if they ran off or if there was another vehicle waiting for them. They are still looking for a suspect description. There was some money taken. We don't know how much, but again, police are asking you if you saw anything suspicious in this area tonight, do give them a call, and they're looking for any direction and help in finding those suspects. Of course, interviewing the victims in this bank robbery as well. We will be updating this story on Wayne.com as we get more information, and of course tomorrow morning on First News. But again, a bank robbery investigation going on right now out here live at Hobson, and that's where we're bringing you Nightcast tonight from the live location. But now let's send it back into the studio. Jonathan, a warm-up is on the way, right?
Much warmer.
I've always wanted to take a trip aboard a ship.
Ivory West may only be 16, but she's already written more than 40 songs and recorded 3 CDs.
It's kind of going to like a retro sound.
Oh, I can't do this for
It all started with guitar lessons when she was 11.
A month later, I had my first song written, and then I wrote another one and another one.
She lived above her parents' hair salon in Warsaw, providing the perfect captive audience to test out new songs.
I would just bring my guitar down here, run downstairs if I just wrote a song, and say like, hey, what do you think of this?
Tell me now.
There was never any pressure to go to work in the family business. Instead, she made herself into one.
When I got like working age, that like, maybe I don't have to get a job, you know, like this is my job.
I think it's neat that she gets to do something that she's interested in.
Dad and chauffeur says Ivory gets more than money out of her self-made job.
I think it's teaching her discipline, it's teaching her foresight and planning ahead, and I think it's teaching her that she has to pay attention to the minute details.
These are the weekends.
Ivory's calendar is packed with more than 65 gigs a year, keeping the young musician busy. But Ivory says she's lucky because turning her passion into profit
You are probably right.
doesn't even feel like work.
I would just encourage people to find something that they like to do and figure out how to manage it, like mature enough to make it into something that could be an opportunity instead of just a hobby. That's what I did.
Da da da.
We spoke with police today in Paulding County to learn more about what transpired inside this home that led to officers firing at the suspect. A peaceful summer day on Road 95 in rural Paulding County gives no indication of the tense moments that transpired only a few hours earlier.
My deputies were called there for a suicidal subject. Upon entry to the driveway, they were approached with the subject with a firearm.
The Paulding County Sheriff says when deputies arrived, James Fleener met them out on the driveway and showed a weapon. That's when he then went inside the house and barricaded himself.
Management was called, mutual aid was called.
The Allen County, Ohio tactical team, along with Paulding County deputies, tried to negotiate with Fleener.
And we tried to make a connection and earn trust. We needed to try to work with them.
After more than 4 hours of talks, Sheriffs Jason Landers and Sam Krish made the call for the SWAT team to go in. When the team found Fleener inside, police say he shot at the officers with a rifle.
One of our tactical team members returned fire, striking him twice with a shotgun.
Fleener went to a Fort Wayne hospital, last listed in serious condition. The officer who shot him on the Allen County, Ohio Sheriff's Department since 2005, a tactical team member since 2011. He's now on administrative leave while the shooting is under investigation.
It's not a discipline, it's just a policy that we have.
The Paulding County, Ohio Prosecutor's Office is also still investigating the shooting, and charges could be filed against Fleener. In Paulding County, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15. They are working, though, as fast as they can to just restore power throughout the city. Today, we caught up with one woman who was still waiting in the dark.
Just have water bottle, and the ice is gone.
Julie McComb's been without power for 6 days. One of the 78,000 Indiana-Michigan power customers who lost electricity after Friday's storm, and one of the few thousand left to get it back.
Am I part of the 4,000? Are you kidding?
Surviving this summer swelter without air conditioning or even a fan hasn't been easy.
It's terrible. I just want to go to sleep. You know, you fall asleep, you wake up, you wet your hair, you go sit outside, you go sit in the truck.
But today, relief showed up in the backyard. Just the thought of the suffocating conditions ending hit home hard.
And I'm overwhelmed. It's been terrible. Now it's like all...
Crews had to install a new power pole and finally gave the green light to her lights.
You ready?
Yeah, we'll follow you. Our cameras rolling.
Oh my gosh. Now see what I'm going to look for is the stove clock flash.
As the nightmare ends.
And it is. It's flashing 12 o'clock.
Next to the light switch.
Let there be light. This is awesome.
There are still around 4,000 people like Julie waiting for their turn, and crews are working their way through the city.
We're getting into 10, 20 customers down to one customer at a time.
Replacing power poles can take hours for each one. Nearly 300 broken around Fort Wayne.
Just ask you to continue to be patient with us as we go through the effort.
Julie thanked the I&M crew, and now it's the basic things that have her the most excited.
I can get a shower, I can dry my hair.
Right now we're told AEP has 550 workers all around the city trying to get that power back on. Live in Fort Wayne, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15. Ben Rinker stays busy with 3 boys and his dream job.
It's just a passion, you know, you love helping people.
A volunteer firefighter with the Churubusco-Smith Township Fire Department. Then Friday night, a fire he'll never forget. Rinker and his family were driving into Fort Wayne on US 33.
We drove through the smoke is when I first realized it.
A house on fire. Without hesitation, he pulled over.
And before I knew it, he was out of the car and gone into the darkness.
Rinker's training took over.
I looked into the structure and I seen a man laying face down, but I saw his arm move.
Without any firefighter gear or air tank, Rinker ran into the burning house. 63-year-old Stephen Harris was lying right inside the front door.
Found him laying face down. I picked him up. Fire was coming out of the door where the man was. I mean, it was fire rolling over the top of us.
Just as Rinker had disappeared into the smoke, he reappeared back at his van.
Holding this gentleman, cradling him like a little baby.
Rinker left Harris with his wife to go back and make sure no one else was still inside the house. The fire was too intense to go in any further, but fortunately, Harris was the only one home at the time.
He had guardian angels or what, but he was laying in fire. You know, the debris that had fallen down from the ceiling and stuff was on the ground and he was laying in it.
The Rinkers and Harris's family say a higher power was at work that night. The Rinkers were running late for their appointment and should have driven by 45 minutes earlier.
It was God's timing for me to be where I was at that time.
And Rinker's bravery heroic.
It's kind of humbling, you know. I really don't know what to say. You don't think about that.
It brings tears to my eyes to see the looks on my children's faces as they watch their daddy save someone's life. It was very powerful.
Those boys dreaming to grow up to be like their daddy and one day be firefighters too.
They just keep saying, I can't believe Daddy went into that fire in his street clothes and brought that man out. They're just, that's their hero.
Last night's storms left a lot of trees actually completely uprooted in Wabash County, and lots of piles of the rest of the trees now chopped up and getting ready to be hauled away. But a lot of the major damage happened to barns.
I've never, ever been through anything like this.
Winds whipped through Wabash County.
Trees were just bent over.
Horizontal winds, and everything that went past the window was off the ground.
Metal siding torn to bits and blown all around. Advanced Ag Resources hit pretty hard.
I didn't think it'd be that bad.
About the only thing left intact in this barn is this door and the steps leading out. But as you can see, the rest of the barn now just a pile of rubble. And the contents that are still inside have a lot of water damage too.
They're all pole structures. Pole buildings aren't as sturdy.
Damage there estimated to be up to $1 million. Up the road, Roger Cook heard a crash.
This is what it looked like.
His maple tree uprooted.
Fortunate that it did blow from the west and it blew away from the house.
The National Weather Service says a microburst caused all of this. The straight line winds were estimated between 90 and 100 miles per hour. That's actually comparable to winds of a small tornado. Now the trees that once stood tall are piling up.
It's going to make a nice bonfire for hot dogs and marshmallows.
Tree cleanup also happening in Huntington County. Wind and rain pounded the countryside there, really hitting Joyce Bentz's farm.
I woke up in the middle of the night and got up and looked out the windows like, wow, what happened here?
Wind ripped the barn up and smashed it into some trees. Everything inside barely moved. Mother Nature even leaving a little bit of nature amazingly intact. Seeing all the damage, Joyce isn't mad. Instead, she's in awe.
To see this and have plastic bottles not moved, empty plastic jugs of stuff not moved, and the whole entire structure. It's crazy. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Now with the storms long gone and the hauling away of massive amounts of metal getting ready to start, rebuilding has already begun. In Wabash and Huntington counties, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15.